we are on quarantine. Teddy Fresh, basically, we've shut it down. I mean, we sent all of our employees home,
Yeah.
and same
But
with
it's like every day it becomes worse. Like at first we said, okay, no working from the office. And we were like, well, maybe some stores at the mall are going to close because we also sell to Zoomies. But online will probably continue. And then now it's like online is probably going to close too because, it's only a matter of time before people can go shipping stuff or packing stuff.
right. Well, our fulfillment service, who does the shipping for us, they're in a big warehouse. So right now our website is online, but I'm assuming it's only a matter of time before
Yeah.
I think the state will eventually issue a mandate ordering everyone to close. In fact, one of our manufacturers in Orange County
Hmm.
was just issued a mandate by the county that they have to stop.
Which also, us starting to work with them was another way of trying to help the situation because we were almost doing everything in China at
Mm,
the time,
mm,
like a few months back, and we started to think like, how can we get out of China and diversify ourselves and also just work with other places, do some stuff here and other countries. And so we found this great place here for printing t-shirts and
hmm
anything printables. And so we were like, okay, if China is closing because of the virus, we still got this place. We're
Yep.
gonna be fine. And now they told us they're closing too.
I
So
gotta say, I called it. I said when this shit start. First of all, people need to. If this is nothing else other than this means nothing else other than that people need to listen to me more.
right, everywhere around the world,
I mean,
every
people.
single
I,
human being needs to listen to
I
Ethan Klein.
yes, but I mean, a lot of people were accusing me of fear mongering. I did a podcast episode this on a long time ago about you need to be more afraid of
Yeah,
the coronavirus,
um,
and everyone thought I was crazy. But I even have to say I didn't expect it to become
even
this
I
bad.
was getting a little concerned with you because you were like on Twitter all day and you started to look like one of those conspiracy people,
Hmm.
like sending everyone links, like, look at this. It's gonna be crazy. And everyone was like, whatever, it's fine. We're in America. We got this.
Yeah.
But, it definitely sounded awful. Like, nothing about it sounded, made up. But it was just so
It's hard.
crazy to believe.
It's far fetched.
Yeah.
But the thing is that there's this paradox when it comes to pandemics. It's like when the appropriate time to react, when you react accordingly, it seems to the general public and everyone that you're overreacting and it's
Mm-hmm.
ridiculous and you're irresponsible.
Yeah.
But then when it's too late to react, then
Then everyone is
it's
willing to react.
when everyone wants to react, it's already way too late to
Right.
contain it.
Yeah,
So
it's
that
tough.
that is an inherent problem with responding to
I mean,
pandemics.
it's hard to react to something you haven't seen, Like,
Well, even now people are flipping about it. They go
even now.
they say in the United States, there's only 1 or 200 deaths. They're like, whoa, what? I mean, the experts are predicting that there's going to be a million to 5 million deaths in the United States,
That's unbelievable.
depending on how many hospital beds we can make available, how many the breathing apparatus, what do you call those?
I don't know.
I've been reading a million times. Anyway, the things that help you breathe when
Okay.
you can't breathe for yourself because
Okay,
it
yeah.
attacks the lungs
Uh-huh.
is what this particular virus does.
Right.
So it all depends on like the whole point of the quarantine is to like as you said,
Flatten the curve.
flatten the curve. If too many people get sick at one time, the hospitals get slammed, and then basically that's when the mortality rate goes from like 1% up to like
Because
5%.
they can't treat people.
Right. People who would be easy to keep them alive and treat them are all of a sudden they don't have access to a hospital bed or a breathing apparatus, and then it's like, oh, they're dead for no reason. And then the other problem is when all these breathing apparatuses are in use and all the hospital beds are full. I mean, there's people like, let's say there's no virus. There's people who need that care already who are now
Right.
not going to be able to get it.
Yeah.
So it turns into a cluster, a mother effing cluster F. For some reason, I feel like I don't want to curse in this room, but in the podcast room, I'll curse like all day long.
Is it because we're home and Theodore is here?
It could be something. I think it's something
Oh,
about being home that I
that's
don't want to just
cute.
be obscene. I don't know what it is really, but I was like,
I
I
like
don't,
that.
like I was like mother F. I don't know why. This feels like a more wholesome place to me.
Nice. I like that.
Yeah. So, you know, I have a chronic cough, as many of you have noticed throughout the years. But
We
now,
haven't.
as Theo Vaughn pointed out on Twitter, he said coughing is the new N-word. So I feel like I'm the most racist man alive because I have this chronic cough, and I feel like, I'm sorry, it's not the virus. I have a chronic condition. But I even start getting in my own head.
Yeah.
And I start coughing. Like the other day, I started coughing, and we were moving all this shit down into this room to set up the podcast, and I started sweating. I was feeling warm, and I was like, "Oh shit!" So I went upstairs and I took my temperature.
Yep.
It's like you get all in your head. My temperature was fine. 102 was my temperature, which is the normal temp. No, I'm just kidding. It was
I was like,
98.6 or whatever. So you know, it's
But
a serious. It's just surreal. What's
it
happening?
is so
It's just
surreal.
weird.
All of a sudden, I'm talking to my mom in Israel, and we're all in the same boat. You know what I mean? It's so weird. Like, she's usually things will be different. I don't know, whatever we're dealing with here, she's not dealing with there. And now it's like I'm calling her, and she's like, "What do we do? I'm at
Right.
home. I can't go anywhere."
How interesting.
She wanted to go to my sister because she has 3 little kids. So she wanted to hang out with them. And my sister was like, "No, you can't come. I don't want you to come because it's too dangerous for you."
Wow.
So
Yeah, I wish my mom was that safe. My mom's like has all these pre-existing conditions. She's like the perfect person of when they say people who are old and with pre-existing conditions need to stay at home. She's the exact person they're talking to. And she goes, you know what she went to do? She went to
she went to
TJ Maxx.
Yeah.
TJ Maxx. She's like, don't worry, I was wearing gloves and a mask. I was like, you're gonna die. You're gonna die. See, people don't take it seriously, but the unfortunately, the people who are all flipping about it now, in 2 or 3 weeks, when the cases are at a max and the mortality rate is going up, then all of a sudden people are going to understand that it's actually very serious. And by that time, all the people who went out to the bars and the restaurants who were trying to party and be like, F the coronavirus, I'm young and I'm American, they're going to realize just how dangerous what they did was.
Yeah.
But it'll be too late. They already caused the harm. But in a way, I can't blame them in a way because it's
Yeah,
just
it's tough.
it's inconceivable.
Right. And it's so hard to put everything on pause and not leave the house all of a sudden. Like, it's just so crazy. It's so hard to really come to terms with what it really means. Like, you think, okay, I won't go to work. But then there's like this other thing that you're used to doing. For some people, it's the gym. People are like, well, I could still exercise, right? And then it's like, no, you can't not do anything.
Well, luckily for me, everything I don't leave the house, so
Right.
like, it's kind of good for me.
You're not
I'm
even
my-
noticing
my
the
routine is
quarantine.
not disrupted at all. But I can totally see what you're saying. Totally. And you know, I was listening to a podcast with these scientists, and they're saying if there's anything good that comes out of this, it's that this is a dress rehearsal for the real one. Because this
What's
one,
the real one?
there could be a pandemic that's equally contagious that has a 60% mortality rate
What?
that will just destroy society.
Why are we talking about that now?
Because, well, what I'm saying is that this
Where did that come from?
people have been people have been blasting the siren in the science community saying a pandemic is inevitable. We have to prepare for a pandemic.
Really?
But because of our lack of imagination and foresight, and I mean, global warming is the same thing. We know it's coming, but it's just not real enough. And all of a sudden, when it smacks you in the face, you can't react. So the potential for a pandemic that's just as contagious as this, with a 60% mortality rate, is possible. And these pandemics seem to be happening like once every 100 years. The last one that happened was like the Spanish flu in 1912 or some shit. I don't know the exact date. But I hope that we as a society can learn and prepare for this. But I just don't know in 100 years if people will still... I feel like for 20 years maybe. It's like
Right.
World War II. The World Wars, it's like everyone was so guarded and they were so appreciative of the trauma that the world went through. But now... 1939 is when the war started, or 1942. you know, how long's it been now? 60, 80 years. So it's like people start to get over it. And you start to see these tensions boiling again. We forget the lessons we learned because people who lived then died. We're dead. And we're incapable of carrying that.
There will be. I guess they might do like an international day of remembering what happened. I
Yeah,
don't
but
know,
how long does
but
that last?
yeah,
We had
that
that for
stuff.
World War II as well.
Yeah,
But you see the same conflicts flaring up now.
right. I guess it's just
It's the nature of
the nature of being human.
exactly.
What can you do?
So ultimately, I mean, I don't know what to do because I feel like our inherent, it's inevitable that we just forget. It's like when you're sick with the fever
Right.
and it's so awful.
It's the worst thing
It's-
ever.
and then when you're better 2 weeks later, you completely forget what it's
Yeah.
like to be sick.
Yeah.
And so
I
it's
think
I think it's going to end
we-
up being our demise, unfortunately, is that we can't remember the trauma. We can't remember the
I
trauma.
mean, it's kind of great, you know, because if you
You're
gotta
right.
be able to function on a daily basis. If you remember all the trauma and everything,
That's a very good
it's
point.
part of our survival, probably.
That's absolutely a good observation.